Good morning if you're joining us now, or good afternoon or good evening if you're catching this at a later time. How are you getting on? No, really, how are you getting on? You see, we all respond to the situations and people in different ways, and you're probably noticing that a lot right now. In particular, we all have a choice in how we respond. So how are you responding to the people that you live with in this current situation? A lot of close proximity. Are you blossoming together, or are you just wanting to beat each other up? What about COVID-19? How are you choosing to respond? Is it to stay in bed? Is it to be proactive? So for example, you knew you were putting this on and thought, yes, get me involved. Is it fear? Is it freedom? And how are you responding to Jesus in this situation? My name is Phil Howe, and you're going to see the lovely faces of Andrew Neal and Rebecca Ravey appear on your screen as well. And we're going to think about how different people responded and reacted to Jesus and challenge ourselves in what our current response is right now. Today we're going to realise that we all have a choice when it comes to how we respond, in particular, a choice in how we respond to Jesus.
Pilate was the Roman governor of a province called Judea. Now, historically, Judea had been ruled by their own kings. However, in recent times, this was not the case. Judea had been invaded by foreign powers, and they were under occupation. This meant the peace in the country was fractious, and it was Pilate's job to hold this peace together by whatever means necessary. So when Jesus is brought before him by the religious council called the Sanhedrin, Pilate has a problem. He's facing an angry crowd, a crowd calling for Jesus to be killed, a crowd that could be whipped up into a frenzy without really much cause. He's facing a political crisis. He has a question to answer, a choice to make. What is he going to do about Jesus? Well, his choice seems to be that he's looking for the easy way out. He wants Jesus to defend himself against his accusers. Yet, as we read about in Matthew 27, verse 14, Jesus made no reply, not even to a single charge, to the great amazement of the governor. The pressure on Pilate continues to mount. His next path of escape is to choose to give the people a vote. He invokes a strange custom present at Passover, and this custom is to release a prisoner at this time of year. And so he gives the people a choice. Will he release Jesus, or will he release Barabbas? Barabbas was an insurgent. He was somebody who's believed to be a murderer, an upriser against the Roman authorities. He's somebody that if he was released, he would bring Roman soldiers onto the streets to restore order, causing pain and suffering for the people. By offering Barabbas, Pilate is hoping to make an easy choice for the crowd. Surely there's no way that they would choose Barabbas to be released. Surely they would choose Jesus. But the crowd, whipped up into a frenzy by the religious leaders, called for Jesus to die. Pilate's choice becomes harder still, and he opts once again for the easy way out. In verse 24, we read about how he took water and washed his hands in front of the crowd. I am innocent of this man's blood, he said. It is your responsibility. We've all seen recently the advice from the NHS about washing our hands, the importance of that to rid ourselves of the dirt and germs to stop the spread of COVID-19. But what we see here, though, is something very, very different. Pilate washes his hands to show that he is getting rid of a choice that he has to make about Jesus. As I said, once again, taking the easy way out. Pilate saw the goodness of Jesus when he talked to him, but he refused to acknowledge it because it was so much easier not to. Instead of choosing to release an innocent man, he was more concerned with what other people thought about him. He was more concerned about his status. He was more concerned about keeping things easy. He didn't want to face the difficult consequences that releasing Jesus would bring on him. There for sure would be violence. There for sure would be anger towards the Roman authorities in Judea. Pilate wanted other people to make the choice for him, but they didn't. And so Pilate had to live with that choice that he made about Jesus for the rest of his life.
The thing is, we are all faced with the same choices that Pilate had to make. Firstly, we must choose which influences that we listen to. Pilate chose to listen to the crowd, even though he did not believe that they were making the right choice. And each of us have our very own crowd of influences trying to tell us different things to do. Family, friends, those in our class, and right now, probably more than ever, we are being influenced by what we see online and by what we see on social media. Are we choosing to listen to the right voices, to the voices that encourage us to do the right thing, even if that makes us unpopular with other people? Secondly, we must choose how we respond to Jesus. Pilate chose to ignore the truth. He ignored the truth that Jesus was an innocent man. He ignored the truth of who Jesus really is as God's Son. And we have a choice to make. Do we choose to ignore Jesus and his word? Or do we choose to acknowledge what he did for us on the cross? There were years of my life where I chose to ignore what Jesus has done, where I, like Pilate, washed my hands of Jesus, not wanting to know what he had in store for my life. However, now, as a Christian, I try every day to put God first in my life, acknowledging the love that he has for me, and I have never looked back. We all have choices to make. How do we respond to COVID-19? How do we respond to the different influences that are in our lives? And most importantly, in my opinion, how do we respond to Jesus? Pilate had a choice to make, and so do each of us. Join us again next week as we hear about a thief who responded in hope.